All right, again, this is Jim, Kilo Tango 9 Golf for the Wednesday night Elmer Net on the 15th of January. So, continuing on where I left off, if you're looking to buy, sell, or trade anything, we suggest you check out the MRC 91 repeater on Sunday nights directly after the Sunday night announcement net for the Sunday night swap net, where that type of traffic is encouraged. Getting started, check-ins are in alphabetical statements based on the first letter following the numeral in your call sign. Mobile stations may ignore the roll call segment and check in at any time when it is safe to do so. During check-ins, please respond with your call sign slowly and in standard phonetic along with your first name and whether or not you have any traffic. Again, my name is Jim, Kilo Tango 9 Golf, your net control for this evening. We're going to go ahead and begin with check-ins for either mobile, short time, or listen only. If you're a dedicated listener and you're out there but you don't have any traffic, you can go ahead and check in as well now, as well as short time and mobile. Go ahead. Gasp. That means that everyone who can hear me is going to have traffic tonight. How interesting is that? No, I'm just kidding. All right. Let's go ahead with the first segment of A Alpha through K Kilo. A Alpha through K Kilo. Go ahead. Come now, please.
Kilo Echo 9, Alpha Foxtrot Romeo. This is L, checking in with no traffic.
All right, Al, KE9 AFR. I got you on there with no traffic. Anyone else? A Alpha through K Kilo. All right, let's do A Alpha through V Victor. A Alpha through V Victor. Come now, please.
Kilo Delta 9 Julia Tango India. Kilo Alpha 9 Mike Bravo Mike.
This is Kilo Bravo 9 Victor Sierra Foxtrot John, no traffic.
Kilo Delta 9 Tango Juliet Mike. No traffic as usual, Jim. I'm on my way to work.
All right, I got KD9JTI Greg, KA9MBM Mike, KB9BSF John with no traffic, and KD9TJM Wayne with no traffic. Wayne, you tripped me up there. You said your name in phonetics, and I was like, I recognize that voice. Who is this? Oh. Yeah, but I got you on there. All right, anyone else? We'll do one more. A Alpha through V Victor. Go ahead. All right, let's do A Alpha through Z Zulu. A Alpha through Z Zulu. Come now, please.
Kilo Delta 9, Juliet Kilo Charlie. I got no traffic. Blake, just checking in.
KD9JKC, Blake, got you on there with no traffic. Anyone else? A Alpha through Z Zulu for the Wednesday night Elmer Net. Go ahead. Come now, please. Okay. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and get started. We got 2 on the list with traffic for now. And we got a lot of listeners, so hopefully the topics we bring up tonight might interest some of you to jump on. Or if not, at least listen and get interested in something. We're gonna continue on with the conversations that we had last week about digital modes. We're moving over from the computer-based digital modes such as FT8, FT4, JS8, JT65, all that kind of fun stuff, to radio-based voice over IP digital modes such as Yaesu Fusion, D-Star, DMR, All-Star, and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of continue that. Before we start, I will throw it up to the top of the list here for Greg to go. Greg, if you have any other comments or questions or anything, you can go ahead and throw that out. Otherwise, if you have any thoughts or comments on those types of digital modes, go ahead and throw that out. And then after you, we'll pick up Mike, who I will let take the floor for a moment to give a primer about a new-ish digital mode out there called M17, which is very interesting. And I'll let him speak to that. So first, let's go ahead to Greg at KD9JTI. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Jim. KD9GTI, well, I still have to, a lot of radios do things, the same thing, but they do them differently. This is a fusion radio, and I'm going to have to learn all over again. I used to have an FT991A, and that was a dream with fusion. Radios operate differently. In this radio, I still have to learn also. This is FTM200DR, so I'm going to have to learn this one eventually. I still want to learn APRS on here too. But right now, I'm obsessed with. My son says I've turned into a Linux geek. KD9JTI, back to you.
KD9JTI, KT9G, at control. Well, there is no shame in being a Linux geek, I will tell you that right now. I love it. APRS, I'm glad you threw that out there. That was actually something we didn't talk about last session with the other digital modes. There's a lot of fun to be had in that, and maybe we can take some time tonight to talk about something that I found, or a friend of mine sent me. There's a group of guys out there that put together a BBS system for APRS that you can self-host. You use like an SDR to hook it up to a server, and you can do a old school bulletin board system and integrate it with APRS. And you can federate it or integrate it with other servers, but you don't have to. It can be standalone. So if you've got like a repeater tower out or a high enough antenna and a server running at home, you can set up your own BBS APRS system, and then people can use it to send and store and forward messages and stuff. So that's pretty cool. We can chat about that too. But let's go ahead and throw it down to Mike here, KA9MBM. Mike, go ahead. Floor's yours. And if you want to throw a primer out about M17 to see if we get any other interested parties on this topic, go ahead. Floor's yours.
Okay, sounds good, Jim. KT9G, KE9MBM, and good evening to everybody in the Elmer's net tonight. Well, as Jim stated, there's a new mode. It's called M17, M as in Mike, and it's 17. It's a new digital mode. It was developed by ham radio operators for amateur radio. It is open source, and like I said, it was developed from the ground up. And currently, it is voice that basically your signal is digitized, pretty much like D-Star, or DMR, Fusion, and then it is rebroadcasted either through RF, either to a hotspot or another repeater, and then you have the choice. You can hop on the internet from there. There's currently over 200 talk groups that people are on worldwide, and it's starting to gain popularity. It was started a couple years ago, and it's beyond its infancy right now, and it's gaining a lot of attention, and people are starting to get on. connect to it and talking with others, just like they do with D-Star and Fusion and DMR. It is, like I said, it's the audio is better than actually Fusion, and it is very, very good on how they did it, as far as the clarity and the crispness of the audio. Because normally, a lot of people will say, you know, it sounds too much like it's mechanical. Well, this is one of the best I've heard yet, so I'll have to wait and see when I actually get on there. Basically, I've been watching some YouTube videos, Jason with the Ham Radio 2.0, and there's the other ham that does the Ham Radio Crash Course. Well, they interviewed the developers, and it is really something. This is something that's going to take off. Let me reset here, Jim. Okay. I just wanted to give a little more information here before I throw it back to you, Jim. Hopefully that maybe we can get some people to start asking questions about it. There's currently one commercial radio out there that you can purchase that already has M17 on it. It's an HT. It's by CSI. It's basically, it does analog and it does M17. You can also, it'll do DMR with the settings. You can't do both of them at the same time. It's one or the other. And other than that, to get on the M17, you pretty much, you have to convert a radio. So when I was originally licensed in around 1980, ham radio still was pretty much hands-on. Hams built their own equipment, they modified, they repaired their own stuff. You could do that back then. It wasn't as computerized with the microprocessors and everything in today's radios, so it was much simpler back then. But the M17, you currently, if you don't want to purchase one radio that's out there by CSI, then you're going to have to modify one of the Chinese radios to do it. And there are step-by-step instructions on the internet how to do that. I'm kind of excited about it because it's something new, and it's really basically there's no licensing on it. You don't have to worry about copyrights or anything like that you have to do with D-Star and the other ones. You have to pay royalties to use their technology, but here you don't. Jim, I'll throw it in. One last thing I'll say is that eventually you'll be able to do messaging, and you'll be able to do file transfers with it too. That'll be neat. Okay, back to you, Jim. I think I talked enough here. Hopefully, maybe that'll generate some questions. KT9G, K9MBM.
Yeah, K9MBM, KT9G. Net control here. Thank you for that. Yes, I'm glad that you threw out the what radios can support it now. I was going to ask you to say that, but you threw that out there. They do have a website. The guys who invented it are out of Poland, I believe. They've got a website up, and if you dig through it, it will take you to the specs page. They've got a GitHub. They've got a GitHub account that lists it all out. It's called the M17 Project. I've got a bunch of info on there and all sorts of fun stuff. But yes, their code repository for all of this is on GitHub. So if you're a nerd and you want to take a look at it, that is on there for you to review. Okay, so with that, it's so sad. That's twice tonight. Since we run this net on NetLogger, if you go and open NetLogger from anywhere in the world and look at open nets or available nets right now, ours shows up. And every once in a while I see someone jump in with a number that I know isn't from our area, and then they'll join and they'll leave right away, and it's just like, oh, that's too bad. But I do believe we did get one person once who was in the area and actually joined our net. Oh, no, he wasn't able to hear us. I think he was up in the Plymouth area. I don't remember. But he did message me on AIM and was trying to get in. So that was cool. So I'm glad that we used NetLogger. Okay, anyway, moving on. I'm rambling here. That brings us to the bottom of the list because we just got the two of us. So with that, let's go ahead. Is there... Uh-oh. I broke my NetLogger. There we go. Is there anybody else out there, A Alpha through Z Zulu, or any stations that were listen only that would like to go ahead and throw their names back into the list? A Alpha through Z Zulu, go ahead. Come on, please.
Whiskey 9, Golf Tango Zulu. For some reason, I'm having problems getting into NetLogger.
Jim, I was worried we weren't going to see you tonight. I was surprised I didn't hear you earlier on, but I got you on there now. W9GTZ, thanks for coming in. Anyone else? A Alpha through Z Zulu, go ahead. All right. Hearing none, I will go ahead and I see you just jumped into NetLogger now. I saw you pop online there. Yeah, Jim, if you want to go ahead, I'll let you go first, and then we'll bring it up to the top of the list. Floor's yours.
Whiskey 9, Golf Tango Zulu. I guess I don't know for sure where you guys are at on conversation tonight. I just want to comment one thing. I was telling Karen the other night, I'm not sure that we wouldn't be better off back on 8 o'clock. I don't know what others think about it, but I wonder if we wouldn't get better results with 8 o'clock. I think sometimes people eat dinner late, and by the time they get cleaned up and what have you, it's tough to make it by 7. I know I have a problem all the time. We were out to eat tonight, that's why I got on late, but I'm not sure. It seemed to me that 8 o'clock is a nicer time all year round. Back to net control, Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu. Back to KT9G.
Yeah, W9GTZ, KT9G, net control. So, yes, and, well, so I have found that there's groups of people who find 7 o'clock better than 8. I found groups of people that have 8 o'clock better than 7. So, I believe the way that we really do it now is during the winter months, when it gets darker earlier, we do it at 7, and then we switch back to 8 in the spring. We can probably switch back earlier, I don't know, but we will switch back to 8, probably sometime in March or something like that. But I can talk to Karen about that and see what she thinks, and we can throw a kind of a question out to the group and see what people like. I do know that there are definitely people who like 7 better than 8, and I do know that there are people who can't make 7. So you kind of get, you have to kind of pick between, you can't make everyone happy all the time, but you can make some of the people very happy all the time. So, okay, we'll throw it up to the top of the list here. KD9, JTI, Greg, go ahead. Floor is yours.
KD9, JTI. Well, it sounds interesting, but I guess if I heard it, I'm 17, if I really heard it and I really liked it, had a radio I could tinker with, fine. But as far as what I've got a FT-M200, I've got an FT5D handheld. They both have Fusion, so I'm going to stay with Fusion. I have no problems with it. As far as this Linux goes, I first started off with the Linux a book of Linux for Dummies, and then I graduated the Linux command line and shell scripting Bible, and the two reference manuals that are provided on the Debian website. and I forgot where, I mean, I got it all down pat what to do. I'm still trying to figure out scripting and how to set it up. I want to set it up for, you know how you use CCleaner on a Windows? Well, you can create your own like CCleaner type of thing by using scripting, shell scripting commands of different cleans. And I found it, and I can't remember where I found it in one of my 4 reference manuals. KD9JTI, back to you, Jim.
Yeah, KD9JTI, KT9G, net control. I think I might know what you're talking about, and I can't remember what it's called. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, there is a command line based CCleaner type tool for Nix-based systems. There's a couple of them, but I think there's a big one, and I can't remember what it's called. But yeah. Speaking of Linux, and I'll throw that out there for a second, I did, one of the side hobbies I have involves me needing to use a Linux operating system on my on one of my laptops that has a good GPU on it and whatnot, and I used to have it dual booted, and I went to try and boot it up on the Linux partition the other day, and it didn't even recognize it, so I'm going to have to rebuild that. So it's a fun little future project for me, and try and see if I can reclaim any of the data that was on it, because I had some stuff on it I would like to get back. I mean, it's all there, I'm sure. The boot partition was broke or whatever, so whatever. Okay. KA9MBM, Michael, sorry, I was reading your name. Mike, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, sounds good. KE9MBM, and then Elmer net. Well, I could talk a little bit about APRS, Jim. The APRS can be done here on Earth, or terrestrial they call it, where your signal is being, you can send messages, you can make coordinates, you could send coordinates that will appear on a map worldwide. If you were hiking or something like that, it would, or you're going on some type of trip someplace, it would show your progress. You can also, you could store messages, forward messages with it. You can also work what's called a digipeater. The International Space Station has one, and you can actually make contacts through the International Space Station to other hams, pretty much similar to like FT8, FT4 type of thing, and then that would count as a QSO or a contact that you could upload to Logbook of the World. Now there are some other satellites out there that you can do the same thing with. There's some other countries that launched some new satellites. I'm not sure if they're ready to be used yet for digipeater operation or not. It was in fall that they just launched them, so it's hard to say. I'd have to go back and check the AMSAT website to see what the status is on them. But I do know the International Space Station, you can use that, and that is available. Okay, Jim, that's a little bit of spiel on APRS. Back to you. KT9G, net control. This is K9MBM.
Yeah, KA9MVM, KT9G. Yeah, thanks for that. So, yeah, there's all sorts of kind of fun stuff you can do with APRS. And I believe, yeah, I think actually, maybe I did mention this. I mentioned this last week. We were talking about that, where with JS8 call, the software has gateways designed so that if you are running JS8 call and hear someone call an APRS command, your rig will relay it for them and do it. And that way you can use JS8 to do APRS commands. It's interesting. It would take a little while to explain. I'd have to go look at exactly how to do it again, but there's ways to do it, and there's ways to like spot yourself when you're doing POTA for that. There's ways to send coordinates and say like, I'm at this location. You can send that with JS8 over like HF, and then if someone hears you, their rig will upload that info for you. So that's kind of cool. There was something else I was going to say, and I forgot what it was. So I will pass it to Jim here, and then if I think of it while he's talking, I'll throw it out there. W9GTZ, Jim, go ahead. Floor is yours.
W9GTZ. I don't really have much to add. You guys are talking way past my pay grade when we get to digital. I guess eventually I'd like to learn it, and I guess we talked about that a little bit last week, Jim. And I would really like to learn some parts of it. But right now, you are way over my pay grade. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu, back to net control, KT9G.
Yeah, W9GTZ, KT9G. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, and we did do that. We have been talking about it 2 weeks in a row. I do know that last week you were talking about the type of digital modes we're talking about now, which is like Fusion, D-Star, kind of things like that, and you're interested in that. But I don't want to go 2 weeks in a row with you not having anything to want to jump in on. So I'll throw it back to you here real quick. Is there anything that you wanted to throw out to the net tonight, or any questions or topics that you'd be interested in? We can either cover it this week or we can do it next week too. Go ahead.
No, I don't think so, Jim. I don't mind sitting back here and listening and learning something. I appreciate you wanting to find something for me, and even if I don't have something, I'll still come in. But I can't think of anything right now. I can't think of anything. I'm waiting for my send-receive switch to come after the third one. The first two were cheap knockoffs of ones, and both of them cut the signal down by 2 or 3 S units, and so I sent them both back one at a time, and have another different one ordered now. So when I get that done, I'll have the spectroscope and stuff loaded where you can get all the radio stations on your computer, which is kind of cool. It's amazing the broad spectrum of range it covers. I think from a couple gigahertz down to I can't remember how many kilohertz, but it's almost nothing. So maybe one of these days I'll get that hooked up. But I really don't have any questions right now. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu.
Okay, yeah, no worries. We're at the half-hour mark, so I'll do another call-out. But on our next go-around, I was going to ask, you were the one that was talking about getting a hex beam, correct? If not, don't worry about it. If you are, I'd like to hear about any updates on that on our next go-around, if that was you. I thought that was you. So, okay, so with that, we are at the half-hour mark. So is there anybody else out there who would like to join the Wednesday night Elmer Net conversation? A Alpha through Z Zulu, come now, please. All right. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and throw it up to the top of the list. The thing that I was going to say about, I remembered it while you were talking, was the digital modes. I did buy that fancy HT a while back, the Kenwood 75, TH75, and I really, really love it. Of course, I kicked myself in the butt because I bought it in like October. No, I bought it for my birthday, so it was in November. And then, of course, Christmas came along and HRO had a sale on it, and it was like $200 off. Oh my gosh. So that was too bad. But, you know, it's a lesson in life. Don't look at the prices of things you've already bought. But that radio, I did use, I think I may have mentioned this last week, I'm not sure, when I was traveling. And I did find a local D-Star repeater and was able to get the reflector working and was able to talk to Mike here, KA9MBM, in Wisconsin with that. So that was kind of cool. Without a hotspot, there was a local repeater that I was able to engage a reflector on and do all that fun stuff. So that was really cool. I thought that was kind of fun. So that's always a nice thing. So I do know that there are Yaesu HTs that can do that with Fusion, and the Kenwood HT can do that on D-Star, which is ICOM or ICOM's mode or whatever. D-Star does that, or Fusion, or geez, Kenwood can do that. So that was just a lot of fun. So okay, back up to the top of the list. KD9 JTI. Greg, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you, KD9 JTI. Hey, there's not many on here. Are there? No, I'm still looking for that how to clean on here. I didn't find any of the utilities in the repositories. But I'm kind of interested in learning how to do, writing scripts. I mean, if you remember back in the days before Windows, when you had DOS, and I still remember my DOS, and I was still into designing and building menus, and your scripting, your Linux scripting was more or less batch files, and you remember writing batch files. Well, even before that, I had Tandy 2000, our Tandy colored computer, and the limitation of those kind of computers. Well, that was the days of Atari and Commodore, and back then there wasn't much on the market as far as programs. So you learn how to program to write what you wanted to get done. Now I find this Linux is pretty much kind of the same, a lot more modern, but fairly the same. Well, anyway, a lot to learn. Like I said, the more you learn, that you got more to learn. KD9 JTI, back to you, Jim.
Yeah, whoops, hold on a second. My windows are all scrolled up. Yeah, KD9JTI, KT9G Net Control. I remembered the one that I was thinking of. It's called Stacer, STACER. That was the one I was thinking of. I don't know if that's something you want to look up, but yeah, Stacer, I don't know how you pronounce it, but STACER. That might be kind of what you're looking for. So if you want to look that up while we move on down the list, let me know on the next go around. All right, Mike, K9MBM, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Okay, KT9G, KE9MBM, and the Elmer net. Well, Jim, I think we should change the topic a little bit. And why don't we talk about Morse code? There seems to be a handful of people on here that have been in ham radio for a while. They're not in not everybody has to do digital modes. A lot of people are just are content with doing single sideband and maybe radio teletype or Morse code. But the question I'd like to ask out to anybody that's listening is, do you use Morse code to make contacts? And if you don't, why not? And would you be interested in learning Morse code? I mean, basically ham radio, they dropped the requirement, so not everybody has to learn Morse code anymore. But when I got into it around 1980, you had to learn the 5 words a minute for novice and tech, and then you, to get your general license, you had to learn 13 words a minute, and then take some more theory to get the advanced, and then 20 words a minute, and a small written exam for extra. But the FCC removed all those requirements for Morse code. But there's still people out there, new hams. I was just reading in the QST magazine and on the Air magazine that the EWL puts out. There's people out there that are interested in Morse code, new hams. And I'm just wondering, is there people out there that still use Morse code, and why do you do it, or why don't you do it? And are you interested in learning it if you don't do it? Jim, back to you. I don't know what else. Throw that out if you don't mind. KT9G, K9MBM, back to net control.
Yeah, K9MBM, KT9G, net control. So, make me feel guilty here. I'm staring at my bencher paddle, having collected a ton of dust, because we practiced for a little while, and then we just stopped because I change interests so often. I would love to learn Morse code and be proficient at it. And there's a couple of reasons behind that. One, it's a really good weak signal mode that, can do on par with some of the weak signal digital modes without requiring any of the technology required, or any of the technology needed to run it. So like JS8 and FT8 and FT4 and all that kind of fun stuff. Like if you go out and you do POTA activations with it, you got to bring your laptop with you or a tablet or something, right, that can interface with your radio and do that stuff. You don't need that with CW. You can just bring a little travel paddle and do it. Opens up a lot further range for you and be able to do some contacts. So it's for the things that I'm interested in, I've always wanted to get better at it, but I prioritize the things I'm interested in. So I would also love to hear about everyone else and what they think of CW, and if they do it, and if they've made contacts with it, and how much they've done with it. I don't have any official CW contacts because I don't know it well enough. So, yeah, let's throw that out there and see what people think. So, thanks for bringing that up. W9GTZ, Jim, go ahead. Floor is yours.
W9GTZ. One thing I've learned is I know what I don't know, but I've sure found out that there's more I don't know what I don't know than I know I don't know. If that makes any sense. Talking about code, I don't do it. I can't do it anymore. I used to be able to. I was up to, I think, maybe 15 words a minute when I was a kid and 16 years old. But I couldn't do 1 word a minute today. I got to really stop and think, and I don't even remember all the characters when I'm listening. But I would like to learn code again, maybe, and get involved in it a little bit. I dipped down into the code section of, I think it was 20 meters, 15 meters. I dipped down into the code section a couple days ago, and that little section of the van, there must have been 10 or 12 guys on CW in there. It just really amazed me how much action there was down there. So yeah, it seems like there's a way to make some contacts, and I used to enjoy CW 63 years ago when I knew it, but yes, I'd like to learn it again, please. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu, back to net control, KT9G.
Yeah, W9GTZ, KT9G net control. So one of the things that Mike and I did earlier, and not earlier, I mean a while ago, when we were practicing CW, we were doing it on, I believe, 6 meters. Used the 7300 on 6 meters, and we just kind of found a spot in there and started practicing back and forth, and then we would use the 9700 to chat with each other on whether or not, we heard. Well, we've got 220 now, so we could do that too. So, got multiple options. You can have a separate radio on FM to chat and whatnot, and then you use the 7300 on 6 meters. So, maybe we should start that up. Maybe we should get a group together and see if we can do some CW practice. Now, I will say this: I do know. Oh boy, WI9MRC. Does that, and I believe it's on 10 meters. Is it 10 meters? They have a CW practice net. It's either on 6 or 10 meters, and they do kind of the same thing, and I had completely forgotten about it, but I do know that they do that. So we could kind of do the same thing. So if anyone's interested in practicing some more CW, that's an option. Now, I will say, hilariously enough, I went to Discovery World a few weeks ago with my kid, and they have a little section with a bunch of electronic stuff and old school like Tesla coils and I don't know else. But anyway, there's a CW or a Morse code straight key there with a little circuit board that will recognize the letters if you type them in. And man, I never ever learned how to do straight key. I have an iambic paddle, and I can do CW, I can do CQ, I can do my call sign, I can do a couple of things with that currently still. And man, when I went there and tried to do it on the straight key, it had no idea what I was doing. I could not for the life of me get the dits and da timing right. I was just like, okay. Apparently an iambic paddle is even enough of a crutch for me to not even be that good. So I'll take it though. I'll take for what it's worth. But yeah, maybe that's something that we do. Maybe we start ourselves a little CW practice net on 6 meters or something if people have the capabilities for it. So let's keep that open. Okay, hold on. Let me break for a second. All right, we're at 45 after, so let's go ahead and do another call out here, see if anybody else wants to join the Wednesday Night Elmer Net A Alpha through Z Zulu. Come now, please.
KT9, Jim. I got a topic, Jim, just to kind of throw it out there.
Yeah, sure. Let me do one more call out, and then I'll throw it to you. Anyone else? A Alpha through Z Zulu, go ahead. All right, here none. I'll go ahead and throw it over to you, Wayne. KT9 TJM. Floor's yours.
Hey, KT9 TJM. Almost semi-mobile. Hi. Yeah, just got to work. All right. I want to say one thing. It's encouraging because for the last couple weeks, I'm surprised that he hasn't got on here yet. There's a new ham. It's actually a couple, husband and wife, that has been on the Monday nights nets for the last couple weeks, and I know he knows about us being here on the Elmer net, and on Wednesdays and all that good stuff. But it got me to thinking, when he was talking about it, because he's relatively new. He knows kind of what he's doing, I guess. But then he's like, yeah, why he got into it, for kind of that prepper mentality, kind of, end the world thing, zombie apocalypse, I know you love that topic, Jim. You're a apocalyptic truck. So it got me to thinking. Maybe on the Facebook group one of these days or one of these times, everybody can kind of agree, hey, let's throw our setups, on the Facebook, with some pictures. Yeah, we can go to QRZ and look at pictures, guys, with whatever setups they got, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But within, our group, it's just as in the 91 in the whole, to kind of see, and I'm like, hey, what's everybody's setups, that they, whether it's at home or whether it's mobile. I mean, yeah, everybody can kind of laugh, at my rat's nest that I got in here, in my semi, as I've been debating about taking pictures of that and throwing it up there. But, I was just kind of thinking about that on the way to work tonight when I was in the background listening. So, I don't know if anybody wants to do that or not, but just kind of throwing it out there. So, KD9 and TGM, back to net.
All right, KD9, TGM, KT9G, net control. That sounds fun, actually. And you're right. Like, yeah, everyone can have their stuff up on QRZ, but, it gets a little bit more local attention if you put it on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook account, but I will. I could easily get all of my images and info over to Karen and just get it thrown up on the 9-1 page via Karen. So that could work too. So. Or that's what we could do. We could just maybe all meet up and get all these pictures together, and we'll just do like a collab and have it all thrown up on the 9-1 page and be like, hey, we all met up and we, swapped, setups and here's all the pictures, And then that might get a little bit more attention of the people, in the area looking for clubs or whatnot, and, just kind of show that we're all playing around and have a nice little group here. So that's not a bad idea. Let me talk to Karen about that. That's a cool idea. Okay. Let me swing it up to the top of the list. I was going to say something about CW. Before we go down through the next round, as far as CW goes, I do have a question about CW practice. There's a lot of really good apps on the Google Store or the Apple Store for practicing CW. However, I have not found any that allow you to practice sending with an iambic paddle. I have an iambic paddle that I would, it's technically not an iambic paddle. It's technically not. It doesn't matter. I have a paddle. The iambic style or whatever. But my question is, the only way that I can practice is I have to turn my 7300 on and turn it to CW mode and turn off break-in, and then I can just play it, and it'll make tones, but it won't transmit, and that's how I practice. Does anybody know if there's software? I have a feeling I'm going to hear that Ham Radio Deluxe can do this. I don't want to hear that. But is there a software that you can plug your iambic paddle into a device and use it to send tones and have the device recognize what you're sending so you can practice and see that it's copying you properly? Does anybody know if that exists? That's my question. All right, up to the top of the list. KD9, JTI. Greg, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, KD9, JTI. I don't remember. Does your 7300, does it have a monitor on it where you can, I used to have, before I blew it up, I had a FTDX 1200 Yaesu, and so I had the special board. I put in the special board for it, which was really nice. Apparently, I had the same problem you got. Now, I don't know if it's just my ataxia. The reason why is what was really neat is it's let's say somebody's sending you CW. You go to some frequency and you can zero in on the tone, and it'll read what it is to you, what he's sending. And what's really neat, when I could practice my CW at the time, and it would tell me what I was, I'd have the break-in turned off also so I wouldn't transmit. But with this monitor, it would actually monitor my signals. And like with the straight key, I thought it was sounding great, And a person I know that, Dave, if you know Dave pretty well, he does CW. He said, that's all, he said, you're saying a bunch of garbage, I thought. I didn't think it was all that bad. So I tried it on the radio. Well, the radio kind of verified it. It couldn't read a thing I was sending. Until I used an iambic valve. And then it could start reading. And it was all that spacing, between the characters and between the words and all that crap. But, since then I've blown up the 1200 and, I don't know if I actually blew up, it just wouldn't transmit anything anymore, wouldn't monitor anything. I eventually sold it, so basically I think what you're looking to do sounds like it has to be done on a radio that you can do. Can you? Oops, for a standby. Said your 7300 could do that.
Okay. Sorry, KD9GTI, KT9G. Yeah, I just looked that up online. I do know that the 7300 can decode RTTY on screen. I didn't know if it could decode CW on screen. Apparently, well, this very first post I see online says that there is a, you can get third-party stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I gotta dig a little bit. I do know that my G90 has a CW or a Morse code decoder built into the screen. Maybe I could use that radio for that practice. That might work. And then, yeah, so I will say if there is a good ear for CW, if your spacing is off a bit and you're using a straight key, they can still figure out what you're saying because they're smart enough to kind of put the context together to the letters, be like, oh, well, clearly they just said good morning, obviously not something garbage. But when it comes to a computer decoding it, it needs to be very precise for the computer to get it. And the thing at Discovery World was a computer reading it. So if you're not doing it really well, which actually kind of bummed me out. Like, there's children that go to this museum. So if they're, really actually interested, because there's like a thing next to it that says, here's the letters, and they're trying to do it, and it's like not working. And be like, well, you're not good enough, kid. Go home. So, anyway, I'll look a bit more online, but I'll see if anyone else knows. So KA9MBM, Mike, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Okay, KT9G, K9MBM. Yeah, you know what you could do, Jim? You could take you could install, I think there's programs out there that are freeware, ham radio software, that, I think it's TTY or something, I'm not sure. There's something out there, I can't remember, but you could install that on your computer and then take the audio that out of the USB jack that feeds into the radio, or goes from the 7300 into the computer, reroute that audio to that program you installed, and it should be able to decode that. The other alternative is to run the 7300 into a dummy load. That's right, I don't know if you got one yet or not. And then run into a dummy load and turn the RF, just enough so the other radio could pick it up in the same room. And then you could practice that way. It's a matter of practicing. The straight key it's all about practice. When we were doing practice a while ago, Jim, that one time I sent you the code. I sent you a stream of code, and I used the straight key to do it. It's all with practice. That's the name of the game. You can get really good so the computer can actually determine it. You just got to get your spacing right. That's correct, but it's practice. Jim, I'm going to say 73s here. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. KT9G, K9MB. I'm back to net control.
Yeah, K9MBM, KT9G, 73s. Have a good night. Yeah, we were gonna do our 73 round right after this. We just hit the top of the hour, so no worries. Have a good night. I'll chat with you in the morning. All right, KD9 TJM, Wayne, if you're still with us, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Yeah, sitting here in my semi-cold truck. Yeah, it's getting warmed up in here, but yeah, no, let's say 73 sort of night. Again, like I said, I was just thinking about that, when I was on my way to work, just kind of throwing it out there, putting up pictures and stuff. I might still do it, might still throw them on the Facebook page anyway. I've been thinking about it, just let everybody give a good laugh, looking at all the wires I got, laying on my dash and coax hanging all over the place. But, hey, I've gotten stopped and they've looked at it and they haven't said anything and I never got a ticket for it. Guess that's a good thing. But, all right, everybody enjoy the nice frozen weather up here tomorrow. I'll be down in Nashville, sleeping, and when I get up, it's going to be in the 50s. So, yay for me. All right, KD9 TGM, 73s, everybody.
All right, sounds good. KD9 TGM, KT9G, net control. 73s, have a great night, and drive safe, and enjoy that 50-degree weather. I used to live in Arizona, and that's where all the guys that I still work with still live, and I thought it was pretty funny. I think it was yesterday morning, they messaged me, and they were all like, hey, tell your cold weather to go back home. And they sent me a screenshot of their temperature, and it was like 31 or something like that. And at the time, it was 0 degrees here with a negative 20 wind chill. And I was just like, stop being babies. Get out of here. I didn't send you weather. If I sent you weather, you'd die. And they're just like, how are you alive? And I was just like, oh, jeez. We actually have better insulation here than you guys do. So that's why. But yeah. All right, 73s, have a good night. All right, W9GTZ, Jim, go ahead, floor is yours.
W9GTZ. I learned on a straight key and graduated to what was back then a bug. They were, I think, quite a bit different than the paddle things. They worked the same side by side, but you had an arm about 3 inches long that stuck out from the keys, and when you went to dashes, it vibrated as long as you held it there, and when you went to dots on the other side, it vibrated and did them as long as you held it there. I think that's probably similar to the paddle key, but probably quite a bit different. One comment I noticed the other day, somebody commented somebody was sending and receiving at the rate of 60 words a minute. I can't imagine how you could possibly send and receive that fast. I'm not sure I could talk that fast unless I got Valley Girl lessons. That's an amazing speed. I think that's probably it. Oh, I know what I wanted to comment too. You know, the hard part on Morse code is not sending, it's receiving. That's the real key, and the key to it is not to hear dots and dashes, but to hear A, B, C, Ds, and not even think about dots and dashes. Unfortunately, when I originally learned in Boy Scouts, one of my friend's mothers taught us to learn it, helped us learn it, and she taught us all kinds of weird ways to remember things, and it's still hard to get those out of my head. I still think of some of them as that, but the hard part is receiving, and the easy part is sending. Most people can send a lot faster than they can receive. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu, back to KT9G, net control.
Yeah, W9GTZ, KT9G, net control. So to double down on that, you're absolutely right. The way that I was trying to learn receiving was to not, you're not building the letters by dits and das. If you try and do that, you're going to end up with a real headache. You want to try and learn the sound of the letter, right? So like da-da, and then it's an A or whatever. Hopefully I got that right. I think that's right. And then like C and Q. But then then you double down on that and you learn the sound of specific words. So if you hear like like everyone who does CW, that like just immediately pops in. That was CQ, right? Like, because that just sound, that grouping, is pops up as CQ in your head, right? Even though you may not have realized that first letter was C right away, when you heard it put together, it's like, oh, that's CQ. That's totally CQ. I got that. And then like, so that kind of thing. So that's kind of why the challenge of call signs is so hard, is because call signs are so random, right? Like the word "the," when put together, is easy to get in your head, because T is so short, right? It's just a da, and then E is just a dit, and then H is 4 dits, right? And so, but when it all wraps around, it's like, oh, that's the word "the." Right, so the context of the sounds is good, but that's why call signs. And I think the challenge is when people do practice, they practice random call signs because they're so random, and that's when you have to like, okay, letter numbers but anyway, that's a really good way to learn it. Is just kind of the sound of the letters and the sound of the grouping of words and stuff like that. And that's kind of why I think with a straight keyer, with someone who's not perfect at timing, the context of the sentence can still make sense. So if you've got, a da, 4 dits, and a dit, that's the, right? And then you're like, that, if it's broken up wrong, could be all sorts of messed up. But in the context of the sentence, the would make more sense than anything else. So anyway. Okay, that's the bottom of the list. Let me do a little quick thing here and see. Is there anybody else wants to join before we do 73 round A Alpha 3Z Zulu? Go ahead, come out, please.
Kilo Delta 9, Papa Mike Lima, Mike.
KD9, PML, Mike, got you on there. Anyone else? A Alpha 3Z Zulu for the 73 round. Go ahead. All right, hearing none. KD9, PML, Mike, if you want to go ahead, we're wrapping up the net tonight, so we're on our 73 round, but I'll give it to you first. How long have you been listening? Do you have any comments, or did you want to get Go ahead.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I've been listening pretty much the whole net, but as you can probably hear, there's quite a bit of background noise. I got the printer sitting next to the radios running, and the fans are on high, so I didn't want to jump in there. But I have something for you. I forgot everything except for the whole CW part now, because it's been a while, and I've been in and out with the printer and doing the radio thing. So, anyways, GG Morris, Golf Morris, one word. Check it out in your Android store, iPhone app, or even over through a web browser. It uses your phone microphone or your laptop's microphone, and it decodes whatever you're putting out of your radio without the break-in. It will also adjust for words per minute and everything, but try to do it in a quiet room, but it's actually a really good app for learning, and I am 100% down with the whole picking a frequency on 6 meter and practicing thing. There's also a device on Amazon. I have one. I never really played with it. That plugs a key into it and decodes. I just don't know if it do a paddle or if it's just for a straight key, but they're like $16 to build your own kit, add a 9-volt battery to a 12-volt power supply, and when I tinkered with it a few years ago, it worked really well. That's all I got on that. I'd love to learn. I've been trying. I got my key sitting next to me. I got a few in the trailer as well. But with that, I'll say 73, and everyone on the net, have a great evening. KD9, PML, back to net control.
KD9 PML, KT9G net control. Yes, thank you. GG Morris is something that I have looked at before. I think that is how I've done practice. I set the phone on top of my 7300. I put it to a really quiet frequency. I put it into CW mode. I would use my paddle and turn the volume up on my radio, and it would send the tones, and then the software on the phone would decode. That is, I have done that. So that is, I had forgotten all about that. So that's a good option. So thank you for that. All right, 73s. Have a great night. I got you marked as checked out. All right, let's jump up to the top of the list and get this 73 round done. We're running a bit over here. So KD9, JTI, Greg, go ahead. Floor is yours. 73 round.
Thank you, Joe. KD9, JTI, 73 to everybody. We'll catch everybody next week. By the way, the other Joe wants to know how in the world they can read 60 words per minute. They don't. They have a radio that'll read it for them, like my 1200. I used to be able to, I don't know if it was 60 or 80 words per minute that thing would go up to. And it would go, singing, and you gotta match your speed, and hey, it decoded it real fine. Of course, they weren't all that accurate. Oh, well, 7-3 to everybody, KD9, GTI. We'll see you all next week. You have yourselves a fine week.
All right, yeah, have a great night. 73 is KD9, JTI, K29G. I just checked my 7300. The fastest that it can do is 48 words per minute. Jesus. I couldn't even imagine if someone was sending something that fast. I don't know if you guys can hear it playing. If someone was sending that, there is no way. Now, if I hear 60 words per minute on the CW bands, I am going to make an assumption. You either just found someone who's a god at CW, or you found two people talking to each other using a computer. You can use software like FLDigi to do CW, and you can set the speed to whatever you want, and the other computer will receive it and decode it perfectly fine. So that's actually a workaround for techs to be able to use like 20 and 40 and 80 meters, because you're allowed to do CW. If you use FLDigi, you can set your cat control up to do CW on your radio via the software. You type out the message and it'll send it, and you can do it at however fast you want, as long as the other person's computer is ready to receive it. So there is that. So if you hear that, I don't know. That's impressive. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that can't do it. I'm sure there may be, but that's fast. That's crazy fast. That's 48. That's not even close to 60. So, all right, 73. It's got you marked as checked out. All right, W9GTZ. Jim, go ahead. Floor is yours. 73 round.
It sounded more like teletype to me than Morse code. I don't know. I'd be in trouble because I can't even type 15 words a minute, I don't think. I'm not sure, but I'm a two-finger typist, so I don't think I can type that fast. I just looked on GX Engineering, and they actually do have what used to be my bug. They call it a Vibraplex original bug key, and I forgot they actually did have adjustments on them to change the speed. You slid a round barrel, a little round barrel that had a set screw on it, forward and backward to change the speed. And then there were a couple other adjustments on it too, but that's what the old bugs were. I guess I'm not sure. I'm going to have to buy a key. I don't even have one anymore if I'm going to learn it. I'm wondering maybe next week we could talk a little bit about what's a good key to use and the differences. That would be helpful. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu, 7-3s. Talk to you all next week. And incidentally, I happen to host the Monday Night Net this week to fill in for Karen, and she asked me to be net control on the Saturday night one this week. So I'm inviting you all to what could be a disastrous Saturday night. Whiskey 9 Golf Tango Zulu, back to net control.
Oh, well, I will do my best. I don't usually get to make the other nets during the week because this time at night is when we're doing bedtime with the kid and whatnot. So Wednesdays I have a deal to, step away from that for this net. So 8 o'clock is better for me, actually. So during the summer, this upcoming summer, I will hopefully be able to join other nets if we all move to 8. So I will see if I can make it. Okay, 73s, have a great night. Okay, checked out. That's everybody on the list. So with that, is there anybody else out there, A Alpha through Z Zulu, with any last-minute business or late check-ins? Go ahead. Come now, please.
KD9 PML.
Yeah, KD9 PML. Go ahead.
Yeah, I totally forgot to mention this earlier. If you go on the YouTube thingy on the interwebs and go to search for Jay Leno, CW versus cell phone texting, or some kind of search like that. Sometime long ago on Jay Leno, I believe it was Jay Leno, they did a blind message between Morse code operators and someone texting on a cell phone, and it was quite cool to see. It's just a really quick video, but it's definitely worth checking out. KD9 PML, back to net control.
All right, sounds good. I just found the video already. Jay Leno, Morse code versus texting contest. Yep, I see it. It's on there. So if anyone else wants to see it, that's what it is. Jay Leno, Morse code versus texting contest. All right, yeah, thanks for that. Anyone else? A Alpha through Z Zulu for any late check-ins or last-minute business. Go ahead. All right, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and secure this net at 8:17 p.m. And thank you all for participating. And a reminder that this net, along with most other nets here on the 9-1 repeater, welcome new operators to experience net control operations by trying a net or two. If you wish to try acting as a net control operator, please contact our club president, Karen, KC9WQJ, to participate. All net scripts are on the club website for you to review. At this point, I will turn the repeater to normal amateur use. Again, my name is Jim, Kilo Tango 9 Golf, and 73s to all. Have a great night, everybody.
Hey, Hey, Jim, you still listening? KD9 PML.